Hello everyone. I'm going to make this video for showing you how to work with the problem sets. Throughout the semester you'll have to do several of these problem sets, and it can be a little complicated, especially if you don't have experience using Moodle or Unity, getting the problem sets to work and then turning them in. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that, and this will be the same process for each problem set. However, just to let you know, there will be projects as well and exams. So we'll have problem sets, projects, and exams. So this process only relates to the problem sets and not to projects or not exams. Those assignments will have their own instructions and possibly a video for turning those in. So here I'm on the Moodle page, and problem set 1. This is the assignment on Moodle, and I'm going to click that. And it's going to open up the submission box. I provided you with a template here called problemset.cs. Go ahead and select that to download, and it's going to say opening. Just save the file, don't open it, so hit OK. And that's going to save the file into your downloads folder or wherever your web browser is saving files. Next, you're going to have Unity open. So most likely we'll go over how to set up a Unity account in class. Once you sign into the Unity Hub, you'll come to this screen. So you're going to create a new project. Now I recommend making a project for all of your problem sets. That'd just be an easy way to sort of have everything organized. And you can use the same project for all the problem sets throughout the semester, so I recommend doing that because you're only going to turn in your script file. So it doesn't really matter what your Unity project looks like. However, to get everything to work and to test your solutions, you're going to have a Unity project to work in. So project name is problem sets. I'm going to set it to a 2D template. You can save it to wherever. I'm just going to put mine actually on my desktop so I know where it is. And go ahead and create projects. Actually, you might want to save this as your last name so that if you know what it is on the computer, and if you ever use a different computer or someone uses your computer, they know that this is your project. But whatever, it's up to you. Yep, so create project, and it's going to build a Unity project for you. It's going to take a few minutes. It has to import the scripts and build the Unity framework and everything that Unity needs to run. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that do its thing for a few minutes. Okay. Usually it doesn't take this long. Oh, there it goes. So while that's going, after the project opens, I'm going to navigate to the downloads folder where I downloaded this file, and I'm going to put it into my project. And so here it is. Now for these problem sets, you don't have to worry well, hang on a second. Okay, so I set this up. This isn't what you're going to see. Let me change this to layout. I'm going to go back to default layout. Okay, so this is what you're going to see. Now with these first couple of problem sets and projects, you're not going to need a lot of this stuff. This is the game scene, asset store, all this stuff that we're not going to need. We're going to be working primarily just with coding and programming, and we're not going to get into this game stuff until a little bit later into the semester. So for now, to make things easier for you, what I would do is I would take the scene tab. If you come up here, right click, close tab, right click, close tab, right click, close tab, then take your console and move it up here like that so that you have a nice console. You won't really need this tab either very much. We'll need it initially, but you can keep your console nice and big like this. And then we will need the inspector, and then we will need the project browser where you have all your files down here, but it doesn't need to be that big. So this is how I like to work for the first part of the course. Kind of gets everything out of the way, all the stuff you don't need to worry about. So what you're going to do to start is you are going to find that file. So I'm going to, okay, so here we go, right here in recent files. I'm going to grab and drop it, drag and drop it right here in my Unity thing. So what that does is it imports that C# file to your project, right? So that's easy enough. Now what you can, now I set this up so it should just work. I would probably test it just to make sure. So this is my console, and this is where everything is going to print to when I'm displaying the values and working through this problem set. So go ahead and hit play. That'll play the game. It's going to pop this up here. So just go ahead and exit out if you want to, or you can kind of move it out of the way so that it doesn't. All right, so I have no errors, so it should be good to go. So what you want to do is double click your script. That's going to open it in Visual Studio. This is where we'll do our coding. And have everything more or less set up for you. I have some variables here, and then I have each of your problems written here. Doing a // will makes this a comment, which means it doesn't affect the code in any way. It's just a way to put notes into your code. So you can write each line here between the lines for each of your problems. So what I'm going to do is minimize this, make sure that opens correctly. It does. So this is where you're going to use the hierarchy tab. And this is why I recommend using the same Unity project for all the problem sets, because once you set this up here, you don't really have to do it again. So I'm going to create a game object, create empty. You can just keep it game object if you want. So in Unity, what this does is it puts a game object into the game, and nothing is going to run unless if you have the script attached to a game object in the scene. Now that's not 100% true, but for our intents and purposes, we'll just say it is true. So game object, now take your script, make sure you have it selected, you have the inspector, drag your script and then drop it here onto your game object. So now that makes this script active and puts it in the game. And these are all the variables that I set up for you, so you'll put numbers into here when you're working through your problem set. So just to start, I'll put, let's do 10 and 5, just for the first and second number. And then for the rest of them, you'll fill out these numbers. And it really doesn't matter what you put in here. It's just to help you, just to make sure everything works. So once you have numbers in there, go back to your script. So these categories here, or these spots, correlate with the variables that I provided for you. So that's where that's coming from. And these variables obviously correlate with you'll use these in each of the problem here. So for example, number 8, where it says write a formula that calculates the number of seconds and hours, you're going to use hours for your formula, right? And then that is going to come from the hours that you put here. So that's how that works. Now, I made an example problem here just to kind of show you how it works. So what you do is you select the end of the line, return in, and this is where you do it. So this says write a formula that prints the sum of the first and second number. Now there's a few different ways to do this. Emails. So what I want you to do is to first you want to set up your answer. So well, you know what, let's just do it the easy way. Let's not do it that way. So we're going to use a function called debug.log, and debug.log is a way to print to the console. So whatever you put in here, it's going to show up in the console when you play the game. C# also has a print function that looks like this, and it does kind of the same thing. The reason I want to use debug.log, however, is because once we get further into the class, debug.log has a lot of other features that you can take advantage of when you are printing stuff to the console. So I like to start out with debug.log. So that's what we'll use here. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here, and I want to print the answer to this problem, this example problem. Now, what you can do is you can just do an N for number, and then EX for the number of problem it is. So this is next, which sounds kind of weird, but that's because this is example. If you were doing it here, you would do debug.log N1, if that makes sense, right? Because it's N for number and then 1 for that. So that's how you can set up all of your answers. So after that, I have the little red squiggle, which means that it doesn't know what this variable is. It doesn't know what this number is. So I'm going to go ahead and set up that variable really quick. Now we're going to go over what the different number types are in class. So I'm going to go through this really quick. However, for all of these, I recommend just making everything a float, because a float gives you a decimal value. And if you make it an integer, for example, then if you do something like like this one here where you calculate a GPA, it won't give you a decimal point. Or if you divide the first number by the second, if it's a larger number and a smaller number and it's less than 1, it'll just give you a 0 instead of a decimal. So we want the decimal, so we're going to do a float, and then NEX is the name of the variable, and then equals, and then this is where you write your formula. So write a formula that prints the sum of the first and second number. So this is really easy. First number plus second number, and then semicolon for the end of the statement, and save it, and you're good to go. So that's what all of these are going to look like. You're going to have debug.log for the answer, and then float whatever the name of your answer variable is, equals, and then this is where you type the formula. So you're going to do that for each one of these problems. Now you might not remember what some of these are. For example, if you are unsure of how to calculate the circumference of a circle, or the radius of a circle, or the square footage of a room, then that's something you'll have to look up. It's kind of part of the class, is doing the research and figuring things out on your own. However, I chose things that are fairly straightforward, so it shouldn't be too hard to figure out how to do some of these. But anyway, so there we go. So let's pretend that I filled all of them out. I'm not going to do that for you, but just pretend I did, and I'm all finished, ready to go. Save it, no errors, minimize, go back to Unity. Make sure you fill out all of these numbers, first number, second number, etc., and then hit play. So switch to console. You can click clear if you have something here already. So hit play. I'm just going to leave this down here so that it doesn't keep popping up. So it gives me answer 15, which is correct because first number plus second number is 15, so that's right. So you see if you click off of play, it still is here. You can turn on clear on play, which means every time you click play, it'll clear the previous and then put the new on, or hit clear and do it that way. That way you can see what the new value is. So that when you do it, you're going to fill all these. So you're going to have a bunch of lines. You'll have a line for each answer. And then that'll be how you'll work out the problem set here. So when that's finished and that's saved, file, save in Unity, everything is saved. So you're going to end up with this file right here. So this is how you turn this in, and this is the tricky part, but this is the easiest way I found to do it. So go ahead and minimize Unity. Make sure everything is saved, right? Keep your assignment thing open. Open up your File Explorer. Now you're going to navigate to that project directory that you created. So I created my project on my desktop, and I called it Johnson Problem Sets, and then Assets. And in my assets, here's my problem.cs file. This is my C# file. That's what CS stands for. And this is that C# file, right? So you can see it's saved at 10 a.m. So keep that handy, that window. I'm just going to slide it over to my other monitor. And in Moodle, I'm going to hit Add Submission. And here it says it accepted file types.cs, and this is what this is. So you can see my CS. I'm going to drag and drop it right there, and it's going to be good to go. And then I hit save changes, and boom, my project is submitted and ready to go. All right. Now you don't have to put your name on it if you don't want to. It's up to you. Because when I download these from Moodle, it'll attach your name to it. So this should be good to go. Just make sure that you are putting the problem set or the problem set 1 from your project, and not the one that you downloaded from downloads. All right, you want it from your project. So that's something you have to be careful of. So make sure you go into the project and you're putting your project in there. If you just give me this, then you're going to get a 0 because obviously this isn't complete. All right. So that's it. That's how you do the problem sets, and that's how you turn them in. And like I said before, this will be the same process for all the problem sets throughout the semester. And also just remember, when you are doing a project, we'll have 2 big projects. And for the big projects, you will not follow. This will not be for projects. All right. This is only for problem sets. So make sure that you use this video, follow directions. File management and turning things in correctly is an important part of game development, so I'm very strict on this stuff because you have to get into the habit of managing files correctly. So hopefully this helps, and let me know if you have any questions.